Today we will be talking about addressing culture shock using the U-curve hypothesis. Our goal for today is to talk about the implications of the U-curve hypothesis if students remain stuck at hostility, and how a teacher can recognize and address a student who is having culture shock, frustrations, anger, misbehavior, and hostility, and how that teacher can help them get from humor to home. Before we start, it's important to talk about the U-curve hypothesis and the 4 stages that are included. The 4 stages are honeymoon, hostility, humor, and home. Honeymoon is when the student experiences a sense of exhilaration or euphoria as they enjoy life in their new country. Hostility is the next stage, and students typically withdraw from school and are angry, sad, and impatient. We will discuss the implications of staying in the hostility phase later. However, it is important to know that some students, especially secondary level CLD students, never quite recover from this phase of the acculturation process. The humor phase is when students start to manage their feelings of embarrassment, disappointment, and frustration. They are still experiencing stress, but they might meet this stress with humor instead of hostility. The last stage is home. Students not only respect, but also affirm cross-cultural differences. They value and celebrate their own bicultural and bilingual identity. We felt that it was important to include this video, however it is 12 minutes long, so please take the time to watch the video at another time. However, the premise of the video is that Moises is beginning school in America as a CLD student. You see Moises struggle through the beginning stages of the U-curve. So what are the implications of the U-curve hypothesis if students remain stuck at hostility? Some behavior that is exhibited during hostility phase is anger, frustration, anxiety, rebelling, impatience, withdrawing, and sadness. It is important as a teacher to recognize the different behaviors that students are exhibiting during the day. These behaviors can lead to very serious things for this student, including absenteeism, maladaptive behavior, suspensions, and dropping out. This is why it is so important to intervene as soon as possible when you see a student who is going through the hostility phase. Next, we will talk about recognizing culture shock. Different behaviors that students have during culture shock are they alienate themselves from others, they seem hostile, they are frustrated and sad, they withdraw from others, and many times they complain of stomach aches or headaches to get out of class. This is also addressed in the video that I mentioned earlier. So how do we address culture shock as educators? To address culture shock, we need to teach students what culture shock is. We also want to encourage them to use their first language as much as possible. It's important to explain classroom routines and procedures to these students, and you can use some visuals to help. Also, provide opportunities for students to teach other peers about their culture. Another way is to help students connect to other extracurricular activities or support groups that they might be interested in. To teach vocabulary to help students describe how and what they are feeling, and to teach students how to resolve conflicts. These are all important things for CLD students along with any other student who is having social and emotional difficulties. So to help students move through culture shock, we did not find any specific strategies for it. However, there are many simple techniques that educators can use to help students feel welcome in the classroom. Some techniques for educators are to learn the student's name and to pronounce it correctly, do one-on-one coaching, have peer partners, post a visual daily schedule, using interpreters, provide opportunities for them to share their culture, use materials related to students' cultures, label objects in the classroom in both languages, provide opportunities for cooperative learning, and to make sure that they follow the rules by posting visuals, modeling those expected behaviors, and being very consistent. We are now going to talk about some real life examples of a student who went through the U-curve stages when he immigrated to the United States. His name is Giovanni, and right now he is 7 years old. At the time of moving to Iowa from Mexico, he was 6 years old, and it was in the second semester. He was placed into first grade, and his older brother Javier was placed into third grade. No one from the family was able to speak English. So Giovanni's first stage was the honeymoon stage. He smiled every day, he sat at his desk quietly, and he followed the instructions of the teacher. He did require a translator to help him understand the content. His next stage that he went through was hostility. About 6 weeks into school, he started showing signs. He would lay his head down at his desk when the teacher gave instructions, and there was a few times that he roughly pushed other students at recess. The teachers then responded with discussions with Giovanni about proper school behavior, practicing proper school behavior, and giving him a chance to relax using a calm down area. Then Giovanni, after a few weeks, moved into the humor stage. He began talking with his peers and smiling again and laugh when his peers would do silly things in class. This happened after the school talked with the parents. And then Giovanni this year has finally made it to the last stage, which is home. He knows the rules at school and he follows them. He's a great role model to other students. The other day, a newcomer in kindergarten was wrestling another boy. Giovanni quickly went to him and stopped the fight, and he told the kindergartner that he can't do that, and then told a teacher, which is showing a lot of leadership. These are our references.